السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Our lecture today is about the portal circulation and portosystemic anastomosis. What is the portal circulation? First of all, the systemic circulation is the circulation in any part of the body. There is artery going to a structure or organ or viscera. In the organ or the structure or viscera, the artery divide into capillaries. From the capillaries, blood is collected in tributaries of veins. Tributaries are collected into a larger veins. The largest vein is superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava, which drain into the heart. If this is the circulation in this manner, it is called systemic circulation. Systemic venous circulation begins by capillaries to form tributaries. The tributaries are collected in larger veins. The veins are unite together to form a larger vein. The vein unite together to form a larger vein. Always larger veins is formed until superior vena cava and inferior vena cava is formed to the heart. This is a systemic circulation. In this circulation, the set of capillaries, how many set of capillaries? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what? In this circulation, there is only one set of capillary. But look for this circulation. In the abdominal part of the GIT, there is artery, like before. The artery go to the abdominal part of the GIT, like the intestine, stomach, etc. The artery divide into capillaries. The capillaries are finally collected to form tributaries of veins. The tributaries of the veins are collected into larger veins until a portal vein is formed. Until now, this is as the systemic circulation. What is the difference? The difference is portal vein in the hilum of the liver, in the porta hepatis. Divide again into left branch and right branch, and inside the liver each branch redivide to reach this microscopic level of circulation. This is the portal venule. Finally, in the histology of the liver, there is a branch of portal venule with a branch of hepatic artery and a bile ductule. These three structures in the histology is called portal tract. Portal tract. The liver cells are arranged in this manner, which is called hepatic lobule. When we make magnification, the hepatocytes, liver cells, are arranged in cords. In between the hepatocytes, there is blood spaces called sinusoids. How blood run now? The blood inside the portal vein and the hepatic artery passing to the sinusoid, where the blood of the portal vein and hepatic artery mix together and circulate from peripheral to central. In the periphery, it circulates in sinusoids. Sinusoid, which can be considered as some sort of capillary. Okay? The hepatocytes take all oxygen and all nutrition, and the blood becomes venous blood, which drain into this vein which in the center of the hepatic lobule. Since this vein in the center, therefore it is called central vein. The central veins, as usual, becomes unite together to form a larger hepatic veins. And the hepatic veins drains into portal vein, divide into the liver, to the sinusoid, and from sinusoid to the central veins, to become collected into 3 or rarely 2 hepatic veins, which drain into the inferior vena cava to the heart. What is the difference of this circulation in comparison to systemic circulation? The set of capillary. The set of capillary, there is a set of capillary in the organ, intestine, example, and another set of capillary in the liver, sinusoid. Here, there is 2 sets of capillary. Any systemic circulation, the veins enlarges until superior and inferior vena cava. But here, the portal vein, after it is formed, it is divided again to another set of capillary. Therefore, any vein divided, it is called the portal circulation. Another thing, the blood in the portal circulation, the composition of the blood of portal circulation is like the composition of systemic circulation. The source of blood is the same. From the heart, arterial blood go to the organ. In systemic circulation, when the arterial blood go to the organ take all oxygen and all nutrition from this blood, and the blood is then become venous blood. Venous blood deoxygenated completely without nutrition. In systemic circulation, the blood is completely deoxygenated and deficient of any nutrition in systemic. But in portal circulation, excessive arterial blood go to the gut. From there are 3 arteries supplying the gut: celiac trunk, superior mesenteric, and the inferior mesenteric arteries, which arise from abdominal aorta. Excessive blood from abdominal aorta to the 3 arteries, passing to the abdominal part of the GIT. When the blood go to the intestine or any organ in the GIT, the oxygen is excessive. The organ needs about 50% only of this blood. Therefore, the organ like the intestine take only 50%, half of the oxygen supply, and the other half go where? to the portal vein. Therefore, the blood in the portal vein is incompletely deoxygenated. It carries a high amount of oxygen, plus the venous return in the gut. There is food, and the food stuff, food material, absorbed by what? By veins. Therefore, the portal blood containing the absorbed food material from carbohydrate, fat, proteins. Therefore, the blood in the portal circulation carrying incompletely deoxygenated blood and excessive food material absorbed from the gut. When the portal blood go to the hepatocytes take all oxygen and all nutrition from the blood. And the blood, after passing in the sinusoids and on the hepatocytes, becomes routine venous blood, deficient completely of oxygen, deficient of nutrition, forming the hepatic veins, which drain like any vein in inferior vena cava or superior vena cava, like systemic circulation. Therefore, the blood in the portal circulation is not like systemic. The blood in superior and inferior vena cava completely deoxygenated, deficient in nutrition. But portal blood very rich in oxygen, very rich in absorbed food material from the gut. Therefore, the main difference between portal and systemic circulation now is the set of capillaries in portal circulation is 2. In systemic there is 1. The vein, after forming, re-branching into the liver. The blood inside the portal circulation incompletely deoxygenated, while this is completely deoxygenated. Very rich in absorbed food material from the gut, deficient in food material. Okay. Let us start the story from the beginning. The story of portal circulation begins with arterial blood in celiac, superior, inferior mesenteric. Go to the intestine or any part of the abdominal part of the GIT. The capillaries in this organ recollect to form portal venules, which collected to form one portal vein. The portal vein branching in the hilum of the liver into left branch and right branch. Divide inside the liver to form portal venules. The blood from portal venule passes to sinusoids and mixed with arterial blood from hepatic artery. The blood circulates in the sinusoid and the hepatocytes take nutrition and oxygen. The vein starting to collect the venous return from the liver is central veins. From sinusoids, the blood passes to central veins as any venous return. Deficient in oxygen, deficient in nutrition, collected central veins are collected to form finally hepatic veins, which drain into inferior vena cava to the heart and to repeat the cycle. Let us start with the beginning. The beginning of the story is arterial supply of the gut. The arterial supply of the gut is 3 arteries: celiac trunk, superior mesenteric, and inferior mesenteric. Please give me a paper. What is this? You are this. During intrauterine fetal life, the embryo is a disc called embryonic disc. The embryonic disc is one layer of cell above, which is ectoderm, and a layer of cell below, which is endoderm. The embryonic disc undergo a process of folding. Therefore, a cavity is taken into the embryo. This cavity is called the gut. The part of the gut in the head fold is called foregut. The part of the gut in the tail fold, hind gut. The part of the gut in between and opened here is called midgut. When the foregut is formed, its arterial supply is formed, which is celiac trunk. Therefore, the celiac trunk is the arterial supply of the foregut. When the midgut is formed, its arterial supply is formed, which is superior mesenteric artery. When the hindgut is formed, its arterial supply is formed, which is inferior mesenteric artery. After development, and when we reach to the full term, all the structures derived from foregut remain supplied by celiac trunk. All the structures derived from the midgut remain supplied by superior mesenteric. All structures derived from hindgut remain supplied by inferior mesenteric. Therefore, this is the celiac trunk supplying all the structures derived from the foregut. What are the structures derived from the foregut? What you suspect that celiac trunk will supply? Right, this abdominal part of the esophagus, foregut تساوي. The aim of celiac trunk to supply the following structures: abdominal part of esophagus, stomach, upper half of duodenum until the ampulla of water. Ampulla of water in the middle of the duodenum. And what's the structure lying here? Upper half of head of pancreas, because the lower half of head of pancreas belonging to the lower part of the duodenum. And midgut. We supply the upper half of the duodenum and the upper half of head of pancreas. The neck, body, tail of pancreas. And liver on the right side and spleen on the left side. This is the aim of celiac trunk, to supply all the structures derived from the foregut. Again, abdominal part of the esophagus, stomach, upper half of the duodenum to ampulla of water, upper half of head of pancreas, neck, body, tail, spleen, liver. What is the celiac trunk? It is a very short trunk, about 1 centimeter, arising vertically from the abdominal aorta, arise perpendicular to the abdominal aorta for about 1 centimeter, and end by divide into 3 terminal branches. One above to the stomach and runs on the stomach from left to right on the lesser curvature. Therefore, it is called, since it is a stomach, it is gastric. Any artery to stomach is gastric. And this gastric passing on the lesser curvature from left to right. Therefore, it is called left gastric. The other terminal branch from celiac trunk is one artery passing to the spleen. Therefore, it's called splenic artery. And the third terminal branch is passing to the liver. Therefore, it's called hepatic. What is the relation of celiac trunk? In front of celiac trunk, there is a cavity. Behind this fold of peritoneum. What is the cavity behind the stomach and this fold of peritoneum? Lesser sac. Anteriorly, there is a lesser sac separating it from the lesser omentum. On both sides of celiac trunk, there is a celiac ganglion. Celiac ganglion. And just below the celiac trunk is the upper border of the body of pancreas, as we will see during taking the body and the relation of the pancreas. Just below there is the upper border of the body of pancreas. What are the branches of celiac trunk? First of all, left gastric. The left gastric passing upward and to the left, giving esophageal branches to supply the abdominal part of the esophagus. Then runs on the lesser curvature from left to right. Therefore, it's called left gastric, giving many gastric branches to the stomach. The second branch is splenic, which is a tortuous artery. Runs along the upper border of the body of pancreas to reach the hilum of the spleen. In the hilum of spleen, it gives a terminal splenic branch. And on the greater curvature, it gives short gastric arteries and left. It passes this artery, passing on the greater curvature from left to right. The spleen is left and the liver is right. Since this artery runs on the greater curvature from left to right, it is called the left. This artery gives gastric branches. Therefore, it's left gastro, and gives omental branches. Therefore, it's called epipleuric. Therefore, this is the left gastroepipleuric artery. Gastro supplying the stomach, and the pleuric supplying the greater omentum. On the greater curvature, this artery supplying also the stomach and the greater omentum. Therefore, it is also gastroepipleuric. But since this artery passing from right to left, therefore it's called right gastroepipleuric. From where comes gastroepipleuric? This right gastroepipleuric comes from this artery. And this artery comes from this artery. This artery is hepatic. The hepatic artery gives a branch, runs posterior to the duodenum, and called gastro, because it gives the right gastroepipleuric. Duodenal, because it gives this branch to the upper half of the duodenum and the upper half of head of pancreas. Therefore, this artery is called superior, pancreatico, supplies the head of pancreas. Duodenal artery, because it supplies the duodenum. Therefore, the hepatic gives gastroduodenal. Why it's called gastroduodenal? Because it gives supply to the stomach, right gastro-fluid. And why it's called duodenal? It gives blood supply to the upper half of head of pancreas and the upper half of the duodenum. Therefore, it gives superior pancreatico duodenal artery. Bravo, celiac trunk, supplying all the structures arises from the foregut. Revise. It supply the abdominal part of esophagus by esophageal branch of left gastric. Supplies the stomach by 5 arteries, 2 on the lesser and 3 on the greater curvature. Supplies the stomach by what? On the lesser curvature, left gastric and right gastric. On the greater curvature, 3 arteries. Short gastric, left gastroembolic, and right gastric. Supplying the upper half of the duodenum and the upper half of the head of pancreas by superior pancreatico-duodenal. Supplying also the neck, body, tail of pancreas by the splenic artery runs above the pancreas, and during its course it gives pancreatic branches to neck, body, tail of pancreas. Surely we supply the spleen by splenic artery. Sure we supply the liver by hepatic artery. Okay? Don't forget that the right hepatic gives a branch to the gallbladder, which is cystic artery. Therefore, the hepatic artery passes to the liver. Where? As the hepatic artery arises upward to the liver, it passes where? The stomach, covered with peritoneum, anterior and posterior, and the fold of peritoneum. Here is lesser omentum. What is called? This free border of lesser omentum. Therefore, the hepatic artery passes upward to the liver in the free border of lesser omentum, with portal vein most posteriorly, common bile duct in front and to the right of the portal vein, and the hepatic artery in front of portal vein but to the left side. Okay? The hepatic artery gives right gastric, gastroduodenal, and cystic arteries, and they may give supraduodenal artery to supply the upper part of the first part of the duodenum. This is the celiac trunk and its branches, supplying for gut. From the ampulla of water, starting the supply of, here from ampulla of water starts the mid-gut and the beginning of supply of superior mesenteric artery, which is the arterial supply of mid-gut. What is the superior mesenteric artery? The celiac trunk arises from the abdominal aorta at the level of the upper border of L1. Superior mesenteric artery begins from the abdominal aorta, from the front of the abdominal aorta, at the level of the lower border of L1. Therefore, the celiac trunk is here. And just below the celiac trunk is the upper border of the body of pancreas. Here the celiac trunk, upper border of body of pancreas just below. Behind the body of pancreas, at the level of the lower border of L1, arises the superior mesenteric artery. The superior mesenteric artery runs downward and to the right to end in the right iliac fossa. By anastomosing with one of its branches, runs downward and to the right, and in the right iliac fossa, by anastomosing with one of its branches, which is called iliocolic artery. What is the relation of superior mesenteric artery? First of all, anterior to the origin of superior mesenteric artery is body of pancreas. Posterior to its origin, I want to remember one important relation for this artery. If this is the aorta and superior mesenteric passing forward and out like that, here there is a vein crossing from left side to drain in the inferior vena cava on the right side. This vein from the left kidney, left renal vein, passing from left to drain on the right side in the inferior vena cava. This is an important event in surgery. Why? The superior mesenteric supplying all the intestine, and the intestine produce marked downward pull on superior mesenteric artery due to passage of left renal vein between the aorta and superior mesenteric artery. Some sort of compression occur on the left renal vein, leading to retardation of circulation in the left renal vein. Remember this when we take later on the male genital system. There is a disease called the varicocele. The varicocele is dilatation, elongation, and tortuosity of veins in the scrotum, in the bambiniform plexus. Much more common on the left side, not the right side. Because on the left side, the left renal vein is compressed by superior mesenteric artery, and the left renal vein receiving testicular vein, leading to retardation of circulation in the left testicular vein, leading to varicose vein and varicocele on the left side of male. If this disease occur, usually about 90% of varicocele occur on the left side due to this important relation. Remember, compression of left renal vein by superior mesenteric artery. Posterior to the superior mesenteric artery, left renal vein, then passing in front of this process of pancreas. This process of pancreas is called uncinate process of pancreas. Then descend in front of third part of the duodenum. This is the third part of the duodenum. Sure, this is the first, this is second, this is the third. Descend in front of the third part of the duodenum. Then enter here. Here is the root of mesentery of a small intestine. Where is the artery? Is this the artery or this is the vein? This or this? This is the superior mesenteric artery. and to its right side is superior mesenteric vein. The relation here is very important. What is to the right and what's to the left? The superior mesenteric vein is to the right side of superior mesenteric artery. And superior mesenteric artery is to the left side of the superior mesenteric vein. Okay? What are the branches of superior mesenteric artery? What is the aim of superior mesenteric artery? Supplying all the structures derived from mid-gut. What are the structures derived from the mid-gut? From ampulla of water till the junction between this part of colon. What is this part of colon? Transverse colon. The transverse colon is divided by a line into right 2/3 and the left 1/3. This is the end of the mid-gut and the beginning of the hind-gut. Therefore, the superior mesenteric artery will supply from ampulla of water to the junction between right 2/3 and the left 1/3 of transverse colon. The details. First of all, we need to supply the lower part of head of pancreas and uncinate process and the duodenum. The upper part of the duodenum is supplied by superior pancreatic duodenal artery. Therefore, the lower part of the duodenum and the head of pancreas is supplied by what? Inferior pancreatic duodenal artery. The first branch arises here is inferior pancreatic duodenum. Then, after the duodenum and the pancreas, the superior mesenteric artery runs in the root of mesentery of a small intestine. Therefore, the superior mesenteric artery should supply the mobile part of the small intestine, which is duodenum and the ileum. Therefore, in the root of mesentery of small intestine, we give the duodenal branches to duodenum, and the ileal branches to ileum. Finally, we reach the terminal 10 inches of ileum and the colon. The superior mesenteric artery gives 3 branches to the colon. First of all, one branch supplying the terminal part of ileum and the beginning of the colon. Therefore, it is called the ileocolic artery. The superior mesenteric end here by anastomosing with ileocolic. Ileocolic gives a very, very, very important arterial supply down to this structure, which is called the vermiform appendix. Therefore, the appendicular artery arises from ileocolic artery. Then, we give a branch to the right side of the colon. Therefore, it's called to the right side of colon. It should be termed right colic. It gives a branch to the transverse colon. Gives a branch to the middle of the transverse colon. Therefore, it's called middle colic. This is called middle colic because it gives the middle part of transverse colon. And there are right colic arteries on the right side. And on the left side, there is left colic arteries. And this is in the middle, between the right and the left colic. Therefore, it should be termed middle colic artery. And we reach finally to the end of mid-gut, lower junction between right 2/3 and the left 1/3 of transverse colon. Revision again. The superior mesenteric, first of all, supplying the lower part of the duodenum and the lower part of the pancreas by inferior pancreatico-duodenal artery. Then supplying the mobile part of the small intestine by jejunal and ileal branches. Terminal 10 inches of ileum and the beginning of colon. Supplied by ileocolic. Right side of the colon, right colic. Transverse colon by middle colic. Okay? At this junction between the right 2/3 and the left 1/3 of transverse colon begins the supply of, here begins the hind gut, and comes the role of inferior mesenteric artery. What is the inferior mesenteric artery? The inferior mesenteric artery begins from the front of the abdominal aorta, like celiac trunk and superior mesenteric. From the front of abdominal aorta at the level of L3 vertebra. Descend downward and to the left to enter the pelvis. Enter the pelvis by crossing the left common iliac artery. Crossing the left common iliac artery and enter the pelvis as this artery. Artery supplying the rectum, called superior rectal artery. It begins the inferior mesenteric from the front of abdominal aorta at the level of L3. Descend downward and to the left. Enter the pelvis by crossing the left common iliac artery to become superior rectal artery. What are the branches of inferior mesenteric? The aim of inferior mesenteric is to supply the junction between right 2/3 and the left 1/3 of transverse colon to the junction between upper half and the lower half of anal canal. Junction between upper half and the lower half of anal canal. What are the branches of inferior mesenteric? The inferior mesenteric gives a branch to the left side of the colon. This branch to the right side is called right colic. What you think the branch to the left side of the colon? Left colic. This is called the transverse colon. Left colic flexure. Descending colon. Then this part of colon is called, this part of colon is S-shaped. Therefore it's called sigmoid colon. The inferior mesenteric gives supply to the sigmoid colon by many branches. 3, 5, 6. These branches passing to the left side of colon bar. These branches are called the left colic. This left colic and this left colic. To differentiate between this left colic, it is called superior or upper left colic. And the sigmoid arteries are called inferior left colic. Then the inferior mesenteric changes its name. After it gives the sigmoid arteries, its name is changed to superior rectal. To supply, the superior rectal is the main arterial supply to the rectum and the upper half of anal canal. Bravo, inferior mesenteric, supplying till the end of the hindgut by just 3 branches: upper left colic, lower left colic, superior rectal artery. Okay? This is the arterial supply of the gut. What is the venous return of the gut? What is the venous return of the gut? The venous return of the gut is portal circulation, which is the portal vein and its tributary. Okay? What are the tributaries of portal vein? Veins accompanying the arteries and bearing the same name. You know the venous return of the gut? No. By thinking. We want the venous return of the hind gut. What is the venous return of the hind gut? Superior rectal vein. Draining the upper half of the anal canal and the rectum. Superior rectal vein arises upward, meeting with lower left colic. Then it changes its name from superior rectal to inferior mesenteric vein. Then the inferior mesenteric vein receiving venous return from the left side of colon by upper left colic vein. Therefore, with superior mesenteric artery, with inferior mesenteric artery, there is inferior mesenteric vein draining the same area supplied by the artery by superior rectal vein, lower left colic and the upper left colic vein, then the superior rectal vein draining into this is a drawing كروكي كده هون for the venous drainage of the gut. This is superior rectal vein meeting with lower left colic veins, sigmoid veins, and upper left colic vein. The inferior mesenteric vein drain into this vein, which coming from the spleen. Therefore, the inferior mesenteric vein drain into splenic vein. This is the venous drainage of the hind gut. What is the venous drainage of the mid gut? The venous drainage of the mid gut, drainage of right 2/3 of transverse colon by middle colic vein. Right side of the gut, of the colon, right colic vein. Terminal ileum and cecum, ileocolic vein. And the three veins from the colon, middle colic vein, right colic vein, ileocolic vein, drain into superior mesenteric vein. The superior mesenteric vein, as it ascends, it receives ileal and jejunal veins. Therefore, this is the venous drainage of the mid gut by superior mesenteric vein, which is corresponding to a superior mesenteric artery. This is the superior mesenteric vein, as we said before, on the right side of superior mesenteric artery, receiving blood, venous return from the colon, middle colic, right colic, ileocolic, and receiving ileal and jejunal veins, and receiving also right gastrooblique vein. Okay? What is the venous return of the foregut? Veins accompanying the arteries and bearing the same name as the arteries. The venous drainage of the stomach is, the venous drainage of the stomach is 5 veins. 2 on the lesser curvature, left and right gastric veins, which drain directly into the portal vein. On the greater curvature, there are 3 veins. Short gastric and left gastric, which drains are, the drainage is splenic vein. The right gastrooblique vein drain into superior mesenteric vein. Therefore, 2, 2, 1. 2 portal, 2 splenic, and superior mesenteric. The spleen is part of portal secretion, is drained by splenic vein. As the splenic vein pass, it drains pancreatic veins from the pancreas and passing the splenic vein to drain where? This is the splenic vein receiving splenic veins, short gastric, left gastrooblique, and the pancreatic veins. The splenic vein unite with the superior mesenteric vein to form portal vein. Okay? The venous drainage of the liver, where? Venous drainage of the liver is bravo, from central veins to hepatic. There is a very, very, very common mistake when any student is asked about what is the venous drainage of the liver. All mention the venous return is portal vein, and this is a very big mistake. Portal vein, as we see before, it is a supply to the liver, like in any artery. It supplies the liver, not a venous return to the liver. The blood in the portal vein enters the liver to supply the liver, but the venous return is hepatic veins. Bravo. This is the portal vein. The portal vein receiving 2 gastric, right at the left gastric, and superior pancreatic duodenal vein. Okay? The portal vein divide into, the portal vein end in the porta hepatis by dividing into left branch and right branch. The right branch, in the past, it is said that it receives cystic veins. The free border of the lesser omentum. The free border of the omentum to reach its termination in the porta hepatis by dividing into left and right branch. It begins behind neck of pancreas by union of splenic and superior mesenteric veins, passing upward and side behind the duodenum, then in the free border of the lesser omentum to reach the porta hepatis, and in the porta hepatis by dividing into 2 terminal branches to the left and right loops of the liver. What other relations portal vein? First of all, we can divide the portal vein into 2 parts. The part behind the duodenum and the part in the area above the duodenum in the free border of the submentum. This part, anterior relation, this part, neck of pancreas, and first part of duodenum. Is the portal vein in contact with the duodenum or separated from it by 2 structures? The portal vein is separated from the first part of the duodenum by common bile duct and the artery descend from hepatic to behind the duodenum, which is gastroduodenal artery. Therefore, anterior to the portal vein is neck of pancreas, First part of the spread from head by retrojudinal part of common bile duct and gastrojudinal part. Posterior to the portal vein, what is the structure behind it? What's behind the portal vein? Along its whole course. Posterior to the portal vein is inferior vena cava. And here the portal secretion and portal vein come face to face with inferior vena cava, systemic circulation. Okay? When the portal vein arises above the duodenum, it runs in the free border of this segmentum with the three structures arranged as usual. In front of portal vein there is common bile duct to the right and hepatic artery to the left. Posterior to the portal vein, what present? Inferior vena cava. But between portal vein and inferior vena cava there is a foramen, which is epiploid foramen or foramen to the lesser cell. أو بيطلق عليه كمان named foramen of Wahdan lobe. This is the stomach and this is the segment. In the free border segmentum there is the cell structure portal vein and common bile duct. In front of the stomach and the segment there is a great cavity called ureter sac. Behind the stomach and the segmentum there is a cavity called lesser sac. The connection between great and the lesser sac is behind the free border of the segment. And this foramen which connects the two sacs together is called this arm. Is foramen of Wahdan lobe or epiploid foramen or foramen to the lesser cell. Okay? If there is portal hypertension and the pressure is very, very high inside the portal vein and the systemic circulation, the pressure is very low. Normal. The pressure in the portal circulation is much higher than the systemic. If there is portal hypertension, the pressure is exaggerated. Very high pressure in portal vein and low pressure in systemic vein, in inferior vena cava. How to lower the pressure inside the portal vein? The surgeon passing in the bus for this region, high pressure in front, low pressure behind. Make anastomosis between these two veins. Therefore, the blood will pass from portal vein to inferior vena cava and portal hypertension relief. Bravo, portal hypertension is relieved, but the patient will die. This is a principle of an old operation called portocaval shunt. We make a surgical connection by operation. We make a surgical connection between portal vein and inferior vena cava to lower the portal venous pressure, but this is an old operation and this is the principle of portovenous shunt operation. But this is not done nowadays because when the portal blood to the systemic circulation, the liver receives the blood supply from what? It lost 75% of its blood supply. Therefore, the liver function will deteriorate, leading to liver failure and death. But this is the principle of an old operation called portocaval shunt. If there is a liver disease, liver disease example, cirrhosis. What are the changes in this drawing? This is the normal histology. Blood passing freely from portal vein to sinusoid to central veins go inferior vena to the heart. If cirrhosis occur, liver cells necrosis, replaced by masses of cells called regeneration module. When this regeneration module will form, it will obstruct what? The sinusoid. Therefore, blood will stop, stagnant in the portal circulation, leading to increased pressure in portal circulation, which is portal hypertension. If portal hypertension occurs, the body will compensate this high pressure by what? By opening of portal systemic anastomosis. As we all know that the normal human being lives with 10 to 20% of its blood vessels only. The remaining blood vessels were closed and not needed. If we need these blood vessels, we open. This we need now. There is more systemic anastomosis in all human beings, but the anastomosis is included. We don't need this anastomosis. If portal hypertension occurs, portal systemic anastomosis will open in the following sites. The most famous site is opening of portal systemic anastomosis in the lower part of the esophagus to form a portal systemic anastomosis where the blood will rush as follows. There is reversal blood flow. The left gastric pass and drain into the portal vein. If the portal hypertension occurs, the blood passing from portal vein to left gastric vein to the esophageal veins of left gastric. From esophageal vein to left gastric, the anastomosis is open to reach the esophageal veins in the esophagus, which are drained into anastomosis vein, which is a part of systemic circulation, because we all know as anastomosis vein is drained to superior vena cava. When the anastomosis is open, the blood vessels of this anastomosis becomes dilated, elongated, tortuous veins, forming some sort of varicose vein called esophageal varices. The pressure inside the esophageal varices is high or low? Marked blood supply passing here, and the pressure is high. At any time in this patient, rupture esophageal varices, blood passing to the lumen, and from the lumen, hematopoiesis, like the famous artist عبد الحليم حافظ. عبد الحليم حافظ بدين attack of hematopoiesis death. This is the famous site of portal systemic anastomosis. Anastomosis between esophageal veins of left gastric and esophageal veins of ascendis, and live in the direction of blood flow. Blood flow passing in reverse way from portal vein, left gastric, esophageal veins, anastomosis and esophageal veins to esophageal veins of ascendis to superior vena. Okay? The same occur below in the lower part of the rectum and the upper half of anal canal. Normally, the upper half anal canal is the rectum, drained by superior rectal vein, which is portal or systemic? Portal. superior rectal becomes inferior mesenteric, drain into splenic. The lower half inner canal is drained by middle and the inferior rectal veins. Middle and the inferior rectal, draining the lower half of inner canal, which drain into pelvic veins, inferior vena cava finally, which are systemic. Here, in all of us, there is anastomosis. But the anastomosis is occlusive. If portal hypertension occurs, the pressure is lying where? From superior rectal vein. Blood rush in reverse manner to open the anastomosis. To pass the blood to middle and inferior rectal vein to the pelvic veins and inferior vena cava system. Marked blood passing here, leading to dilatation, elongation, and tortuosity of this anastomosis. And this is called secondary bile. Secondary bile. Because there is another bile which is very famous, and about half of you have this bile. If bile occurs without portal hypertension, without any disease, it's called the primary bile. But this is due to cause, which is portal hypertension. Therefore, portal hypertension is a primary disease. And due to portal hypertension, this bile is formed. Therefore, this type of bile is called secondary bile. And if we hear about one of us having bile, it is a primary bile. Because secondary bile is relatively very, very rare. The commonest, popular, and affecting about half of the population is primary, without detectable cause, without any disease. If there is a cause, it is called secondary bile. The third famous site for opening of portal systemic anastomosis in normal individual, this is never okay. This needs abnormality. This type of anastomosis around the umbilicus needs what? This persistent patency of para-umbilical veins. The para-umbilical veins as an abnormality does not include during the infancy. And we live, the skin around the umbilicus is portal, while the skin around the umbilicus away the curvature system. If this anastomosis present due to vacancy of para-umbilical vein, which is very, very rare, the blood will flow from the left branch of portal to the para-umbilical veins to open the anastomosis around the umbilicus, leading to dilated, elongated, tortuous veins around the umbilicus. Called what? The umbilicus is rounded in shape. Like what rounded?
Face.
Cavity. Cavity means head. And the dilated veins. Like what? Like a cut in Greece called medusa. Therefore, if the umbilicus is rounded and surrounded by varicose vein, dilated with tortuous vein, it's called the caput, means head, medusa, which is a gut head, the grease in the muscle. Okay? على البلاطه يعني يا جماعه كان في كده واد عند الغريب وش واحده ست حلوه قوي وعلى فكره كانت جميله جدا بس اللي يبص لها يتحول لحجر وطالع منها تعابين وحتى ظهرت في كذا فيلم من الافلام بتاعت الزمان دي كده اهوت كانت وسط اي واحده كده عندها تعابين واللي يبص لها يتحول لحجر تعرف ان دي ميدوزا وشبه راس ميدوزا اهي فبقى اسمها كابوت ميدوزا. Finally, if any organ of portal secretion come in contact with any part drained by systemic circulation, this anastomosis will occur. Like what? Superior and inferior. هنا اهو يا جماعه on the posterior abdominal wall. There is the right colon and the left colon. Drained by veins. Drained by veins. What? Portal or systemic? Portal. Portal. The portal secretion here, sleep, line on the posterior abdominal wall. Posterior abdominal wall is systemic. And the anastomosis will open. And this is silent anastomosis, does not give any clinical manifestation. The liver. The liver and the very area related to the diaphragm. The diaphragm is drained by phrenic veins, systemic. And the liver, portal blood, here. Anastomosis occur between the very area of the liver and the phrenic veins on the inferior surface of the diaphragm. And this is a silent anastomosis. Does not give any clinical picture. Okay? This is the opening of port to systemic anastomosis, which will occur only in case of portal hypertension. Never open in any normal individual. Okay?